Welcome to Teachings from the Masters with Daryl Shaun Price.
Hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So today I want to talk to you about the uncarved block, which is a concept that's found in ancient Taoism. And it is the idea that a block that is uncarved has infinite potential. It can be anything. And it also is just a block. But the moment you start carving it, you take one little stroke, you take one little slice here, less and less does it have the opportunity to become anything. Now it might start to look like a dragon or a person or a chess piece or a cup or whatever. But the more that you set intentions upon it, the less and less possibilities that block has to be anything. So today I want to talk to you about becoming the uncarved block and why that's so important to you in creating your happiest life. And there's been a lot of different people throughout all time in history that have talked about this concept over and over again. One of the most recent is Dr. Joe Dispenza often talks about becoming nothing and nobody in no time and no space. It's the same concept. And it really, at its core, is this. You are the energy of creation. Your spirit is that energy of creation that exists in all things and is flowing through the current body and mind and heart that you have as a way of creating and having experiences with that energy of creation that exists in all things. But at your core, you are that uncarved block of pure potential energy. That energy of creation can be anything. That energy can be translated into a tree, into the sky, into the grass, into an animal, into a person, into a necklace, into a recording. But at that moment of just being the pure energy of creation, you are infinite. And so, one thing I see a lot of people struggle with is they want to manifest. They want to really jump into, okay, I want to have these miracles happen in my life. I want to see the financial miracles and the miracles of relationships and my health get better and opportunities and to be able to travel, have experiences I never believed were possible. But oftentimes what they do is they kind of try to cram in the feeling of whatever they want into what they already have. So that would be like taking that carving of a dragon and trying to change it just a little bit so it looks like a horse. And sure, you might be able to do it, but it's never going to look as much like a horse as if you started with just an empty block and made a horse and that was your intention. So the key here is for you to become the uncarved block so you can then carve anything you want. And you don't have to carve anything. You can just remain an uncarved block and allow the miracles to happen. And honestly, that's where a lot of the magic is. But if you stay as what you are identity-wise, if you stay as that dragon that was carved out of that block, it's going to be very hard to be anything else. So how do you do that? How do you become that uncarved block? How do you get to that point of being nothing? What you need to do is detach so much from the external. And I mean so much completely. That includes your body. That includes the things that you've experienced. That includes the current pains that you're feeling, whatever it is. Detach from them so completely that you are just in that liminal space, that space of being pure energy. So how does one do that? I will give you the techniques I use. Now, I want to say this right now. There are many, many tools out there that you can use to get to that space, to get to that void space, to get to that place where you are just experiencing being pure energy without any attachment to anything physical. So you don't only have to use this tool, but this is the one that works for me. And behind this tool are the principles I want to talk about. So one of the things you really need to do is you need to learn to be the observer. Observe what's happening in your body without an attachment to it. Observe what's happening in your mind without an attachment to it. Observe the feelings you feel without attachment to them. And a lot of times that takes some work because we're so used to responding to everything as if it's the thing that we're supposed to do because it's right there and we've programmed ourselves to respond to it. And if we don't respond to it, things will get worse or better or whatever. Okay, you've got to detach. So the practice I use starts with me completely calm, going still completely, sitting completely still. I may be aware of things happening around me, but that's not where my attention is. My attention is here. I take some deep breaths. I calm my body. I take the deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth to tell my body that it is safe and it can let go. And there's nothing to respond to right now. I keep my mind focused on my breathing. As I focus on that breath work, I am focusing on how that feels. One of the things I do is I will breathe in through the nose for about 4 seconds, hold it for about 4 seconds, and breathe out for at least 8. And with every breath, start to pay attention to what I feel within my body. And for me, it starts as a tingle right from the top of my head. With every breath, it kind of goes down more and more. And it'll feel like it's going up as I breathe in, and as I breathe out, it goes down more. Once that sensation, that energetic impression has filled my body, that's when I go to the next piece. So what is that next piece? Well, I start at each of the gateways within my body. So the root gateway, the root chakra, the earth gateway. I put my focus on a point right there at the base of my spine. And then I surround that point with the feelings of peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss. And just let those feelings surround that point completely until I can feel that surrounding and that energy. Then I let that energy that's surrounding that root chakra, that earth gateway at the base of my spine, move up to a point just behind my navel. That's the water gate, the sacral chakra. And I just surround it with peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss, just like I did with the earth gate. Then, once that feels complete, I move up to that solar plexus, that fire gate, right below the sternum. Focus on that point and surround it with peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss. I think you're starting to get the pattern here. Once I feel that energy completely surrounding that, I let it flow upwards to my heart. And I surround my heart with that peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss. So at this point, I've got all this energy that I'm tapping into that is the energy of creation. And the reason I use the emotions of peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss is those are the emotions that are right on the edge of stopping being emotions and just pure energy. So it gets me right to that edge of almost pure energy. Peace is the ultimate emotion you can feel before you get into an energetic vibration that doesn't have emotion, that has transcended what emotion is. So my heart. Then I move up to my throat, the air gate. Surround that point with peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss until I feel it completely. Then I move up to that third eye. That is the gate of the spirit below. The gate of that spirit that is Mother Earth, that is creation and all its beauty as it is observed right now. Basically the observing of, oh look, that's a dragon that was carved out of that block. And that point, right behind my eyes and just a little bit above in the middle of my head, I surround that with that peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss. And then once I feel that completely, I move up to the crown. That is the spirit above. That is the cosmos. That is the creative energy in its purest form flowing through everything. I surround that with peace, love, joy, gratitude, and bliss. And you'll notice once you go through this process, once you have felt them completely, all of a sudden it starts to expand throughout your body and beyond. So my attention goes to just the feeling of that energy moving through my body. And then once it goes beyond my body, I follow it and let my attention fade away from my physical surroundings, from what is around me, from my physical body, and just follow the energy. So I'm flowing with the pure energy of creation. And that's when I get into that void space. That's when I become that uncarved block. In that space, there isn't the physical pains and the phone calls I've got to make and the money that I've got to deal with and other things like that. It's just energy. So I sit in that space, flow with that energy of creation, not to any place in particular, but just flowing in general until there is nothing. Sometimes things come up. I observe it, let it pass, observe it, let it pass. And I stay with that flow of energy until there is nothing. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, I can't do that. And my mind is racing. And I've got so many things that I have going on. And I have a hard time meditating. And I try to focus, but I've heard all of it. And I'm going to give you some tips during this, which I don't normally do in this podcast, but I think it's warranted right now. I'll give you some tips on how to quiet your mind and get to the point that you can do this. But once you can choose to accept yourself as that uncarved block, as that energy of creation that exists in all things, what you have done at that moment, at that point, is you're now tapped into endless possibilities. That uncarved block can be anything. It can be the dragon, it can be a cup, it can be a horse, it can be whatever it wants. So once I get to that point of nothing and feeling just the pure energy of creation, and it is a feeling that is indescribable with words, but it is a greater peace than peace you have ever felt. It's amazing. Once you feel that magic, and you are becoming that magic, and you become that nothing, well, then you get to decide what to do with the energy. Then you get to play. That's where, if you want to kind of go backwards here, okay, now I've become the pure energy. I'm going to channel all that through that crown point, through that spirit above gateway in the current body that I am experiencing reality in. Great, I'm pulling it all in. Now I get to go to my third eye. That's where the imagination is. That's where the possibilities are. It could be a dragon. It could be a horse. I get to explore what those possibilities are. Financial freedom, beautiful relationships, amazing health. Ooh, I'm just going to play with my imagination until I pick one thing I want to carve that feels good. Then I get to decide what that one thing I want to carve is going to be like an experience. Okay, financial freedom feels good. Okay, I want to have money that feels like this. I want it to come from sources that I don't feel super obligated to. I want to have the freedom to use it however I want. I want to not worry about bills. You start to actually get intention and voice to that imagination. And all of that pours straight into your heart center, which is the center of the spirit within. When you combine all four elements with the spirit above, the spirit below, and the spirit within, you are alchemizing energy. You are deciding what to carve in that block because you are the creator. You have now taken and channeled the energy of creation in all things. And that point of the spirit within is where that alchemical process happens. It starts to shift your inner identity, which will automatically shift the reflections, the external experiences that you have. So now that I've done that and I've got my intention set, I know what I want to carve. I've planned out, I'm going to carve this block to be a horse, not a dragon. Well, now I go backwards through the other gates. The earth gate is the gate of actual matter and experiences. It is the gate of manifestation of the experience in the external world. So now I'm channeling the energy of all matter that already exists and shaping it to match that intention. So I pull in all the energy from that earth gate. Then I pull in all the energy from that water gate. The water gate is all about pleasure and enjoyment and things that you prefer or not prefer in this experience. I like burgers over pizza. Sounds simplistic, but that's the idea. It's about pleasure. It's about enjoying the experience. It's about knowing what you really want and don't want instead of just accepting that you're only going to get what you already have. So I'm channeling everything in the water gate. Then there's the fire gate. That's where your identity comes in. That's where you shift and become the external version who can receive the experience you want. And all of those energies go into the heart. And that's where it swirls. And that's where it happens. So I start to have these intentions, have these channeled energies from all the elements. And I start to feel I allow them to combine. I stay in that imagination, and I keep staying in that imagination and that beautiful energy of creation, from becoming the uncarved block to setting the intention of what I want to experience. I stay there until it feels real. That's how you know the process is done. Okay, so I've imagined the financial freedom. I've imagined being able to always pay my bills. I've imagined always having more than enough. I've imagined being able to go and buy things I've never thought I could buy before. I imagine looking at big price tags and thinking, that's not a big deal. We can afford that. Until it feels real. And I mean feels real. Feels like that the room you're sitting in is a whole new room that matches that. That who you are is a whole new you that believes that more than it believes what it has experienced. That's the point of creation. That's where you take everything internal and everything external and combine them alchemically within the spirit within gate and start to truly allow the miracles. But now comes the allowing. The moment I've done that, the moment I've become the uncarved block and gone through this process of deciding what to carve, I let it go. And I know you're going to say, well, why would you let it go? Aren't you supposed to stick with it and really, really keep putting energy into that and that and that over and over again? No. I let it go because I've already created it, and I know I have. I have gone through everything from the matter, the feeling, the identity, the energy, the imagination, and the specific intention, and it has been created. Well, then what do you do to experience it? Nothing. And I know that sounds crazy. You can't do nothing and experience it. You want to experience it. That's not nothing. You're right. But I'm not out here controlling the external. I'm staying in alignment. So I stay at peace. I observe what is happening. I am aware of it. I accept it and I appreciate it. Somehow this is the exact experience I'm having right now. That means I'm exactly where I am and where I'm supposed to be, so that I get to experience what I just created. I don't know how it fits in. I have no clue, for example, how moving to Maine was exactly what I needed to experience to have the thing that I'm creating. But it's fallen into place in magical ways. The magical people I've met that have helped me and created miracles in my life never would have happened had I not moved here. You don't plan it out. You don't go and try to now focus on where is it? How do I make it happen? You let it go so completely, because once you've created it, you don't have to do anything. You allow your spirit, that energy of creation, that you tapped into when you were that uncarved block, that sense of nothingness, start to show you the reflection. This is where the miracles happen. Be open to completely unknown things happening that make no sense. Anything that happens, anything you hear, anything you experience, anything you talk about, anything you think that feels like peace, oh, that's the step I'm taking. Well, but that doesn't make sense. How are you going to get financial freedom if you go and buy an inflatable pool? I didn't buy an inflatable pool. That was just an example. I don't know, but it feels like peace to do it, so I'm doing it. How are you going to experience that miracle that you felt if you don't do the things that are smart to get it done? Your mind only knows what it's already done. And for you to have miracles, you need to accept the unknown and be willing to let it happen. You need to be so open to anything that you have no attachment to anything out here. You're not dwelling on it. You're not worried about it. You're not waiting to see where it pops up. You're just living life at peace. And I promise you, the miracles do happen. I have manifested my perfect life that just keeps getting better all the time. I have an amazing tribe of people that I live with. We support one another. We are better off financially than we have ever been. My health is improving drastically without me doing massive things to make that happen. I am meeting people that are the exact people I've always imagined meeting in my life, that are very fulfilling relationships for me. And I didn't plan any of it. I took 0 steps besides following that inspired action that feels like peace, which means I was so unattached from anything that was happening that it didn't matter. If one of my kids called me and it didn't feel like peace, I would walk away from the conversation without a second thought. Not because I don't care about them and I don't love them, but because I know If I follow the peace, the miracles happen. Because I know if I ignore reality, the miracles happen. And I still respond. I mean, I pay a bill if there's a bill to be paid, but I don't have any attachment to it. It's just a thing that happened. I'm observing it just as I'm paying it. And again, for example, observing the fact that the wind keeps messing with my hair during these last 2 podcasts. It's kind of a fun experience. That's it. Don't have any emotion or attachment to it. Now, what I will do is I will spend some time each morning as I get up, going back into that void state, going back into that attention just to feel it again. But then I let it go. And I get to choose to follow the peace. And that's the only choice I ever have to make. Follow the peace. You as well. So go become that uncarved block. Go get back to you at your core. Let go of all attachments so that you can now create anything you want because you become endless possibilities. Remember, there's nothing greater than the power of you. When you are in alignment and living in alignment, you naturally create your happiest life and manifest miracles. See you next time.